the Capitol cop who shot and killed Ashli Babbit on January 6th will reveal his identity for the first time, with NBC's Lester Holt. This is obviously a huge mistake, but you know what they say, folks. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Hey guys, gals, and pals, Mr. Obvious here. And today, we need to talk about the absolute disaster that is the Biden administration, as the White House cuts off Joe Biden and his response to a question on Afghanistan. Apparently, an NBC reporter, Peter Alexander, asked Joe Biden, "What will you do if there's still American citizens stranded in Afghanistan after the Taliban's August 31st deadline to get everybody out? What will you do?" You know what Biden said? He smirked at the question and said, "Well, you'll be the first to know. I'll call you." Imagine laughing about the fact that you and your idiotic administration abandoned U.S. citizens and allies. But we're also going to talk about the Pentagon, as 800,000 service members who still have not been vaccinated now face potential court-martial unless they get the jab. But we're going to talk about all that and more. Before we do, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for updates for future content, and if you enjoy the videos I make, share the video. It's the best way you can help the channel. Now, I want to apologize to everyone for my leave of absence, feeling a little bit under the weather, but, you know, I've been watching the world for the last few days, and it seems like things just get worse and worse. Now you have Joe Biden saying that they're depending on the Taliban to honor the safe passage of Americans, but we're getting mixed signals. Because while Biden is saying, "Oh, we're gonna evacuate these Americans before the deadline," here on the Daily Mail, U.S. citizens are told to stop coming to Kabul airport due to terror threat, leaving up 1.5 thousand, including 23 California students stranded. Blinken blames them for not leaving earlier as the CIA start helicopter rescue missions. Okay, so which is it? Are we going to rescue stranded Americans or not? Because U.S. citizens are being told not to come to the airport. And how dare Biden say that he's relying on the Taliban? We don't need to be relying on anybody. We should be rescuing our people, and we should have done it when we had the chance. Now, I did not know this, but apparently Trump had planned the evacuation of Afghanistan for May. Why May? Because during May is Ramadan, and during this religious holiday, the Taliban would not invade the city of Kabul. They would not invade at all. But what did the genius tactician Joe Biden do? Well, he said, "Screw the plan. I'm going to move the evacuation up past Ramadan." And look what happened. Now, there's an even more disturbing report. In this exclusive from the Daily Mail, quote, "We're leaving in 72 hours. It doesn't matter who is left on the ground," end quote. Former CIA officer says he's been told the deadline to evacuate Americans from Kabul is far shorter than the August 31st cutoff. Oh, are we being lied to by the Biden administration? Really not surprised. You know, Jen Psaki was giving her little report to the press saying that America does not negotiate with terrorists. Oh, really? Because you seem to be negotiating with the Taliban. Now, I do not expect the Taliban to keep their word, especially given the fact that Biden already broke U.S.'s word. So now they're not going to want to listen. It's just an absolute disaster. If Trump were president, none of this would be happening. He would have dealt with this with an iron fist, and by God, that's what you need. You need an iron fist. Because without an iron fist, you get the iron boot on your head. Former CIA officer Sam Freitas has claimed that Americans and Afghan allies stuck in Kabul actually have far less time to evacuate. Now, I'm inclined to believe this. I'm inclined to believe that if you're in Afghanistan, you need to get out as soon as possible. This is a disaster, but it's more of the same. We already know how this is all going to go down. It is a disaster on every single level. Now, let's talk about Ashli Babbit. The Democrats have been pushing this January 6th narrative quite a lot. They've been saying that, oh, we're going to subpoena and we're going to investigate all of Trump supporters, all of the politicians who were on Trump's cabinet, and so on and so forth, including activists, YouTubers, people like me and you. You know, they released this list Oh, we're gonna hunt these people down. The January 6th commission is coming. And recently, the Capitol cop who shot and killed Ashli Babbit during the Capitol protest on January 6th is now going to reveal his identity for the first time ever with NBC's Lester Holt. Now, there's a good chance that by the time you see this video, this interview could be out. And once again, I just want to say, Ashli Babbit did not deserve to be shot. She was unarmed. She wasn't hurting anybody. She was trying to climb through a window. She was no threat. And she was shot, and she died. She's a veteran. Now, the left likes to pretend like a bunch of cops fell on January 6th, but the truth is, the only person who was murdered on January 6th was Ashli Babbit. This cop is an idiot. He's a murderer, in my opinion. A cold-blooded murderer who should be in prison. Here it says, the police officer who shot dead Ashli Babbit during the Capitol riot, mostly peaceful protest, will reveal his identity on Thursday when he sits down for a television interview to explain how the tragic events unfolded. Babbit, 35, was the only person killed, even says here, during the insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. Give me a break, okay? You want to talk about insurrection? We saw for a whole year BLM and Antifa burn down cities, capture entire lots. You remember the autonomous zones? Yeah, give me that garbage. It was a protest. Got a little bit out of hand, but it wasn't some insurrection like they keep claiming. I don't think these people know the meaning. So it continues, the officer fired as a MAGA mob stormed through the rotunda. Quote, speaking out and revealing his identity publicly for the first time, the officer will share his perspectives on the events of that day, including the aftermath of the deadly insurrection and the threats he has received, said NBC News in a statement announcing that he would be interviewed by Lester Holt. He will also discuss the recent news that Capitol Police will not discipline him following an internal review exonerating him for use of force. Oh, don't you love it? We investigated ourselves, and we find ourselves innocent. Well, I understand, Mr. Armed Robbery Man. I know you got a sack of cash, and I know you're wearing a mask, and I think that's blood on your shirt, but, you investigated yourself, and you found yourself innocent of robbery. I believe you. Okay, you're free to go. Yeah, okay. We'll just believe the people who shot an unarmed American veteran and mother of two like it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It matters a lot. Do you think that if the roles were reversed and it was, a minority who was shot, do you think they would have the same tune? Or would they say, this is police brutality? Yeah, gotta say, this guy's very brave for showing his identity, but I have a feeling that he's so high on his own farts that he actually believes that he's gonna look good. Oh, I was a hero stopping these evil MAGA meanies. You shot an unarmed woman who is no threat to you. Disgusting. So the Department of Justice said it would not file charges against the officer in April, and this week he was exonerated by an internal Capitol Police Commission. This is meaningless. So these are pictures of Ashli Babbit. She was 35 years old when she was fatally shot and killed. When this happens to an African-American male, in even worse circumstances, the left will still protest and say this was horrible. Nobody should be killed by a police officer, especially if they're not armed. Ashli Babbit was not armed. I've seen the footage. I can't play it here, but it's bad. But this is where we're at, folks. What is the Biden administration telling us? What is the White House telling us? They're telling us that if you're a Trump supporter, they don't care if you get shot. Mary Ann McClain says, an unarmed civilian shot with no warning according to witnesses, but this passes as acceptable? Lex Luthor 99 says, when does his murder trial begin? Yeah. So you see a bunch of these left-wingers responding. A lot of them not even from the US. Like, first of all, shut up. Second of all, I'm just so sick. I'm just so sick of the Democrats, man. I'm sick of these leftists always going on with their nonsensical comparisons. There's one person here trying to say that, well, if you're a Trump supporter and someone were to break into your house, you would shoot them. No. It's not the same at all. It's not the same at all. If someone comes into your house and they have a gun and they're a threat, it's understandable that you would defend yourself. But this woman was not armed. She was not a threat, and it was a public building. You know, contrary to popular belief, the government works for the people, And the government buildings are public property, meaning they belong to the public. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that the government works for us. We own them. We own the building. What you're saying is that you're not allowed to break into your own house. Maybe. It depends on who you ask. But I just find the comparison nonsensical. I'm still not feeling well, folks. I think I might cut this one short. Gonna try to get some food and some rest.